Welcome to this explainer. I'm Dr. Chem. Picture a breathtaking sunrise over a lush, green field. The morning dew is glistening on the leaves, and that golden sunlight is just about to trigger arguably the most vital processes on Earth. Today, we're going to explore the absolutely incredible, complex effect of light on plant growth, and we'll be diving deep into the hidden microscopic world that makes all of this possible. So let's dive right into this. We all know light provides the fundamental energy for photosynthesis, right? It's the fuel that runs the biological engine. But what if I told you plants actually use light as a complex source of information? What if light is literally a language that tells them how to grow, exactly when to flower, and even how to defend themselves against competitors? Pretty wild, right? Well, here is our path for today. We're going to start with the raw energy of light. Then, uncover how plants actually see that light. From there, we'll look at how they emerge out of the dark soil, how the specific color of light completely changes their growth, and finally, how we are using all of this to farm with light in modern agriculture.
Okay, let's start right at the foundation, the raw energy of light, and how it drives photosynthesis and beyond.
Imagine zooming right down into a single leaf's chloroplasts. It's like a microscopic power plant. At the core of photosystem 2, there's this P680 reaction center that absorbs light energy. And it uses that energy to promote its electrons to such an incredibly high energy state that the plant literally splits water molecules. It splits water. This produces the oxygen we breathe while recovering the plant's electrons, kicking off the astonishingly efficient process of converting raw sunlight into chemical energy.
Now, based on that energy availability, a plant actually physically alters its own anatomy. Think about it. A plant out in full sunlight builds its leaves entirely differently from one stuck in the shade. Sun leaves are much thicker. They pack in way more mesophyll cells and higher levels of the enzyme rubisco to maximize that high electron transport rate. But a shade leaf, it builds itself to be thin, packed with high light harvesting complexes, basically acting like a giant, desperate solar panel trying to catch any stray photon it can in a low light environment.
To really understand this at a microscopic level, scientists in modern plant laboratories take incredibly precise epidermal measurements of things like stomatal density and gas exchange. By analyzing this kind of data, researchers can determine exactly how efficient a plant is at using water and absorbing carbon dioxide under vastly different light conditions. It just goes to show how deeply a plant's physical structure is tied to its specific light environment.
So we know light is energy, but let's shift gears a bit and look at how plants actually see light through complex sensory systems.
The absolutely crucial concept here is photomorphogenesis. Simply put, this is the process where light dictates a plant's overall form and development. And I want you to note, this is entirely separate from photosynthesis. In photomorphogenesis, the plant is using the electromagnetic spectrum, UV, blue, red, and far red wavelengths, not for food, but as vital environmental sensory data. Plants obviously don't have eyes, but they do have these incredible photoreceptor proteins that act like tiny antennas, detecting specific colors of light to make critical survival decisions. You've got phytochromes acting as red and far red sensors, completely controlling seed germination and shade avoidance. Then there are cryptochromes that detect blue and UVA light to regulate the plant's circadian rhythms and stem growth. And UVR8, it detects UVB to trigger chemical protection responses. They basically act as biological switches, turning genetic programs on and off.
There's a quote that I think perfectly captures the magic of what we are looking at. The phytochrome is the eye of the plant. Phytochromes actively sense the ratio of red to far red light, which tells the plant if it's out in the open sun or being shaded by the canopy of a competitor. It is a built-in, highly sensitive, environmental radar system.
Let's look at how this radar system works at the very beginning of a plant's life, as it fights its way out of the dark.
Before a plant ever even sees the sun, it goes through a developmental program called etiolation, or scotomorphogenesis. If you've ever lifted up a board in your backyard and seen a pale, spindly, almost ghostly sprout, you've witnessed this firsthand. It's a desperate, rapid, upward sprint. The seedling is literally burning through its limited seed reserves to rapidly elongate its stem, trying to break through the dirt and find the light before it completely runs out of energy.
But the exact moment light strikes the plant, a massive structural shift happens called de-etiolation. Down in the dark, the seedling is pale, it's got this closed apical hook protecting its delicate growing tip. But the second it hits the light, the stem instantly stops stretching. The hook opens up, the leaves unfurl, and it turns beautifully green to start harvesting energy. The plant shifts completely from a frantic survival mode right into growth mode. And this reveals just a brilliant survival mechanism. Green leaves growing above a buried seed will absorb all the good red light for photosynthesis, but they let the far red light pass right through them. So if a seed buried under a forest canopy senses mostly far red light filtering through the leaves above, it knows it's stuck under a competitor. And you know what it does? It simply refuses to germinate. It waits for clear skies, so it doesn't fight a losing battle for resources.
Now that our plant has successfully emerged, let's explore how the specific color of light influences its physical shape and growth. Laboratory analyses reveal that leaves grown in low light have to employ some really unique mechanisms to survive. Because they are thin and have very low levels of photoprotective pigments, if they are suddenly exposed to intense, bright light, they have to run a super high transpiration rate. Basically, they evaporate a ton of water just to dissipate the excess light energy as heat and prevent severe cellular damage. It's an incredible balancing act of internal physiology.
Interestingly enough, different species react entirely differently to light colors. In lab setups studying microgreens, blasting pure blue light actually triggered extreme stem stretching in green-leafed arugula. It acted just like a shade avoidance response. But red-leafed mustard? It barely reacted at all to the exact same light. Researchers actually believe the mustard plant's own red pigments filter the light reaching its internal phytochromes.
And beyond just stretching, there's phototropism, which is the bending of a plant toward a light source. This isn't just a simple reaction. It's a highly complex biological dance driven primarily by blue light receptors called phototropins. And interestingly, red and blue light can actually act antagonistically to fine-tune this bending process. The plant is just constantly calculating and recalculating its optimal angle to the sun.
So, why does all of this microscopic cellular biology matter to us today? Well, let's talk about farming with light.
We are now taking all of this knowledge directly into the real world. Imagine modern indoor farming facilities, vertical farms using advanced LED arrays. By understanding photomorphogenesis, we are optimizing precise light recipes to completely customize the growth, yield, and shape of our crops. We can tweak those red and blue ratios to keep plants compact, massively reduce their water and nutrient consumption, and even accelerate flowering right on command. By manipulating these light spectra, scientists can actually program a plant's internal chemistry and sugar metabolism. For example, blue light increases total sugars in grape skins and promotes high-quality daughter bulbs in saffron. Red light pumps up glucose and starch in cassava leaves. High overall light intensity increases medicinal polysaccharides and red anthocyanin pigments in orchids. We can literally make fruit sweeter, vegetables more nutritious, and medicinal plants much more potent simply by changing the light bulb.
So when we look at a flourishing crop under a rising sun, we absolutely must remember that light isn't just feeding the plant. It's a vast, incredibly complex data stream giving literal instructions on how to survive, adapt, and thrive. As the saying goes, light is the energy that powers life on Earth. Which leaves us with a fascinating final thought for today. If light is the energy that powers life, what happens to the entire future of agriculture when we finally master writing these microscopic light recipes? How will this completely transform the way we feed the world tomorrow? The possibilities are truly endless. Thank you so much for exploring the effect of light on plant growth with me today, and keep learning.